Okay, good morning everybody. Today I'm going to do a video on today's severe potential and especially tomorrow's likely significant severe weather event anticipated from upper Michigan and into Iowa. So here we have for today a area of slight risk in northwestern Minnesota and into eastern North Dakota, but coverage will remain isolated. It then a slight risk extending from southern Maryland down into eastern North Carolina. Now, this is pertaining to the current ongoing MCS activity, so expect mainly damaging wind threat there, and some re-strengthening is possible as the day goes on, especially down into Southern Virginia and into North Carolina, and expansion of the slight risk into northeastern South Carolina is entirely possible. And then lastly, an area of slight severe for some tornado risk from eastern Nebraska into Iowa, and then the remnants of those storms making it into most of Wisconsin, basically the northwestern 2/3 of the state. And this will be tomorrow morning by the time they make it up here. So as you can see, here's some brief QLCS tornadoes may occur, and then some brief weaker supercellular tornadoes can form, and then hail, there is a risk of hail, and then wind, especially the wind over here, and then again over here in the stronger supercell. So now I'm going to show you the mile runs for each of the areas. So I'm going to first cover what's going on over here. So you can see, so 7 a.m., 8 a.m., well, actually, so by 10 a.m. you can see already new development. 11 p.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. though is when the days being severe weather is going to start to develop with a noticeable strong cell, and another one here, 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. So by 6 p.m. you'll notice the storms slowly but surely start moving towards the arrowhead of Minnesota, and then by 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and then around 9 p.m. expect your activity to diminish by then. So now I'm going to move over here. Whereas you can see by 7 a.m., 8 a.m., so you can see nothing much happening until around 1 p.m. you start noticing new development, and then the herd doesn't bring too much of anything, but let's look at the NAM nest. Now the NAM though is more persistent with isolated MCSs and then scattered severe thunderstorms. Then lastly, to the Midwest. Oh wait. Now in this region though, this will be a late overnight event, and I'm going to show you. So here we finally start seeing something develop by 8 p.m. southern Nebraska, 9 p.m. So the main initiation will not actually start until about 10 p.m. tonight, 11, 12, 1. Then you start seeing overall weakening trend of the storms here, but still some surface-based cape hanging out. Still pretty modest stability, and then most unstable cape though is gonna help make those storms last for a longer period of time. As you can see, there is a continued tornado threat well into the overnight hours. So that by 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Then I will actually switch back to the her for this. Because the her. So, actually, here we go. So 8 p.m., 9 p.m. So yeah, around 10-ish or 11-ish p.m. is when you'll start seeing main storm initiation. Although the remnants has most of the activity concentrated over here than the her over here. Then 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., you'll notice the storms start moving up into Minnesota and northwestern Iowa. 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Now up into 8 a.m. though, you can still see some isolated, marginally severe thunderstorms, making out so while there isn't much of anything of surface-based cape, there's a lot of most unstable cape, and definitely lots of shear, so that's going to help them keep going. So you can anticipate the severe storms in the morning to occur wherever the warm front, the edge of the warm front is set up. 7 a.m. Then by 11 p.m., you start seeing the bulk of the activity move into northern Wisconsin now. Depending on how much of this activity does occur, it may create a dent into Wednesday's later severe potential, but so far though, even assuming this scenario doesn't really seem to do much, if anything, for the afternoon and especially overnights later outbreak of significant severe weather. If anything, this will help in creating power outages and sporadic tree damage, so that will mean it will be harder for some people to get life-saving alerts, as this just so happens to be where some strong tornadoes are anticipated. Then 1 p.m. So now I'm going to show you the day 2 outlook. So as you can see, for day 2 we have a enhanced risk of severe weather stretching from northeastern Iowa and up into southeastern Minnesota, straight through central and northern Wisconsin, and then up into south central upper Michigan. Now, with this, as I mentioned earlier, there's a 10% tornado risk in this region of black X's, or the hashed area. That's where some strong tornadoes can occur. So during the supercell stages, it is anticipated that at least several tornadoes form, with at least a couple or even a few of those possibly becoming strong. So EF3, or in the EF3 or EF4 range, quite frankly. And then as for the wind, a 30% probability. Now the wind is a bit more uncertain because the models vary with how the later significant MCS sets up, but current looks would suggest where it does form, widespread damaging wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour and some even up to 80 can develop, so some significant gusts are possible where boa goes to form, and then some very large hail is also anticipated, some up to baseball size possible, because of significant amounts of mid-level lapse rates. So now I'm going to show you the mile runs. Although one quick note is that, especially with what I'm about to show you, so literally after they issued this day 2 outlook, all of the models seem to agree to bring the bulk of the supercellular and wind activity to more over here now. So we're gonna have to see what the Storm Prediction Center does in its 12 or 1 p.m. update. So and to see if the models still do hit at that point. But just something interesting to take note of. So back to the models. Okay. So here we have 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. The bulk of the activity doesn't start up until about 3 to 4 p.m. where you know some supercells beginning to fire up. Now where they do fire up is right where the cold front is gonna be. So they'll develop along and just ahead of the front itself. And then you have the warm front right here. So in this region, you can see a moderately to very unstable atmosphere with high amounts of surface base cape and especially most unstable cape. And shear values of up to 60 knots along the cold front will allow for more than enough shear to make any supercell that develops to be capable of producing rotation, which means that once they do form, several tornadoes can form, with again a couple of which may be strong. And I will show you as to how. So supercell capacity values are very high, especially for this region of Wisconsin. Speaking of which, the last time we ever saw any 10% tornado risk with black hash marks was back in 2017 when that EF3 went through Cheetech. That was the last one I can remember where they had anywhere near close to this region having significant tornado outlook on day 2. So the storms also could be rare in a way. The significant tornado parameter, as you can see now, that's another thing. Just the last run, it showed that this area was going to see the highest tornado potential, but as you can see, it now shows that this region right here is going to see the highest possibility of stronger tornadoes. And because of that, the damaging wind threat is also expected to shift eastward. And again, if any storms that do form, there will be lots and lots of lightning. And to show you the helicity values, they are insane. So any storms that do develop here and produce a tornado, I mean, yeah, coupled to a few tornadoes would undoubtedly become strong, possibly even violent. So if you're especially in regards to the tornado risk in this general area, then you especially need to keep a very close eye on the sky. Have all alerts on your phone enabled. If you have a weather radio, then have it on, have it plugged in, have spare batteries. And also stock up on some food in case you get hit, and take flashlights because numerous power outages are expected just because of how widespread these storms will be. So 4 p.m., then 5 p.m., then 6 p.m. is where you start seeing peak intensity in regards to the tornado threat, with from Marathon counties up into southern and northern Marinette counties, especially in Forest and Langley counties, significant tornado parameter values of up to 9.4. So again, anything that does form there will undoubtedly become powerful. So then here you have 7 p.m. then. It's going to be around 7 to 8 p.m. where you start seeing the transition into severe MCS with perhaps some localized bow echoes forming, and where they do form, significant damaging winds can develop because the shear is going to go orthogonally along the front. So what you're going to have happen is that the environment is more than unstable enough for the formation of cold pools. And the cold pools are what allow for tons and tons of downbursts and downdrafts to make contact with the surface in the form of damaging winds, some of which could be straight lined in nature. And I would say right now just mainly anticipate 60 to 70 mile an hour winds with perhaps a couple to gusts to 80. So again, 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Then by the time they start crossing Lake Michigan with the loss of most of the instability, then they start to lose their grip, although the remnants will make it onshore into upper lower Michigan by 1 a.m. They still contain strong gusty winds of 40, 50 miles per hour, maybe even a couple gusts of 60, but a lot weaker than what they would be in Wisconsin. I'm going to show you the NamNest scenario, which honestly I could see being equally plausible. So as you can see, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Significant supercells with, as you can see, the model depicting very significant hail core, which is, again, very believable with the environment we have at hand. 5 p.m., then you can see 6 p.m., a significant MCS with perhaps a couple different locations of bow echoes forming. And as a result of that, you're going to have significant damaging winds. Then again, dying off as they enter upper lower Michigan. So what you're going to have happen with that is, with the enhanced risk being here right now, being right here right now, at least in this general area, if the models do keep up with this eastward trend, then it is possible that they shift the enhanced risk to more in this general area. At least that's my thoughts, but again, the models could shift the storms back to the west, but this has been a trend that's been going on since the last run, so, and pretty much all of the models agree with it one way or another, so I could definitely see this being a possibility. So for in conclusion, if you live, oh, and then I also want to address the storms that could form, but shows that the threats down towards southern Iowa, northwestern Missouri, into eastern Kansas is more conditional, and if they do form, then they will be weaker in nature, so might see downgrades from there. But in regards to the enhanced risk, again, it could be shifted to the east, and not only that, but if a greater damaging wind threat is realized, or quite frankly, greater tornado threat, or maybe even both, then a upgrade to moderate is possible. I don't think that should be the case, at least for today, but tomorrow, I mean, the last minute moderate risk would probably be possible if it certainly does seem like the worst case scenario situation is developing. So, well, stay safe, stay weather aware, and if you live in this area, I mean, you got to be on the top of your game.